What's going on, producers? Today we're going to be talking about what does it take to make a living selling beats online. And there are multiple different ways to go about doing this. But the first thing we're going to look at is what does it take for you to be able to live the life that you want to live? And then two, what are the options that we have depending on your skill set to be able to get the result that we want to get with as little effort as possible? And I know it's kind of a cop-out to say, oh, we want to put as little effort as possible, we want to get the most results, but let's be realistic here. Everybody wants to find that way because there are two different stories, right? There's person A who, worked for 10 years, grinded every single day and did all of the wrong things and didn't get anywhere. And then there's person B who, followed a few quick steps and got maybe a little bit lucky, but they knew what worked for them, they knew the strategies, and they implemented it. And person B, within a year, within way less time, has outperformed this other person. So why does stuff like that happen? And how can you find yourself, either maybe you've been doing it for a while and you're kind of stuck in a rut, how do you get out of that? Or maybe you're just starting, you haven't sold a beat. How do you find the right path for you? So let's get into it. So the first thing that you could do if you're just getting started and you want to start making some money consistently, maybe you don't need $100,000 a year just yet. And you want to find an opportunity where you can start getting work done, start building your confidence, start building relationships. A lot of people don't know, but there are different websites where you can put your services available for sale on Fiverr or Upwork.com. And you can actually become an employee for different people in the music industry. For example, I actually have hired some people from those sites to help me with custom work or sometimes to help me build other YouTube channels. So this way I pay them directly, so they'll get paid for their work. And the way I have it set up, they also keep a percentage of what they make because I want to motivate them to make the best beats. So they get paid up front, and then they also get paid a portion of the royalties. Right now it's between 25 and 50%, which I find to be pretty cool, right? Most people that hire other people to do work for them, they try to keep 100% of the royalties. So I wouldn't, if you're just getting started, I would look at all opportunities as potential. Don't think, oh, I'm gonna sell myself short. Yeah, if you have a great beat, don't sell exclusive rights to just anybody, and don't give 100% of your royalties for something that you believe in. But if you're looking at it as, hey, I'm gonna work for this hour, whatever I make for this hour, I'm getting paid for it, so I'm giving it away to you, and that's the situation, you could find deals like that on Fiverr and Upwork and post a job, look at opportunities, and just going to those sites, you'll have some options of different things that you could do to start making money with your music. So how do we actually make a living doing this? Well, the first step is we have to sell one beat. So let me know below, have you sold a beat? I'm interested to know, and if so, how many beats have you sold? How much have you made selling beats online? Comment below, and hopefully I'll be able to respond to you and help you out. So the first thing is we need to actually sell a beat. Now, how do we sell a beat? Well, there are multiple different ways, and I think the best and easiest way would either be to just post your beats on YouTube and to hope that it happens. But the second, more likely way that this could happen is to do step one, post your beats. But then you need a messaging strategy to reach out to the right artists that are going to like your music. So one, how do we find those artists? And two, what do we message them? So that has to do with you and the style of music that you make. So the question that I have for you is, what type of beats do you think you can make? And what other options are out there for you? Because a lot of people think, okay, well, if I'm gonna sell beats, I need to make trap beats, or I need to make, boom bap or rap beats. But a lot of that is saturated. And if you go in a different direction and you find different genres and different bands and different artists that not that many people know about and start making these different types of beats, you have a much higher chance. Now, once we know what kind of beats you make and what kind of artists are looking for those beats, now we want to go on Instagram and start finding artists. So one thing we could do is make a list of producers. So let's say you're gonna make, I know it's played out and I don't recommend a Drake type beat, but just for an example, let's say we're gonna do a Drake type beat. So I would go to YouTube, go to Instagram, and I would search Drake type beat in YouTube, maybe search Drake type beats for a hashtag on Instagram, and start finding producers that are making those kind of beats. And you could literally, if you find them on YouTube, you could literally just click on their profile, go to their Instagram, and you could find them that way as well. Because on the YouTube page, if you click about, it usually, as if they inputted it, which most of them do, they'll have a link to their Instagram. Otherwise, you can just search them up. So once you have a list of producers that make a similar style of beat that you make, and that have the artists that you want to work with, right? They already have a relationship. Those artists already respect that producer. They like that producer. You can't just come in there though and be like, hey, I want you to work with me. You got to find the right way to go about it, right? So now that we have the list, we can start sending them messages. And I highly recommend that you follow them as well. So send them something introducing yourself. Be like, hey, I really like your music. I heard this song and this song. So definitely, especially if you're just beginning, I highly recommend that you go through and take at least a couple minutes to say something unique. Hey, I saw this post, actually like the post too, like a couple of their stuff. And if you could recommend or mention something that you saw on another platform, so maybe you go to the artist profile and you find a link to their YouTube, or you could even just search them up on YouTube, you could possibly find something, and then go through their beats and be like, oh, I heard this song and I really liked it, I really wanted to work with you. Because I think I have a similar style and we could complement each other. So I just wanted to send you over a beat completely free. And I think that would be the way I would do it. I wouldn't even try to sell the beat. We got to be a little bit smoother and we have to be giving, right? Because I'm not sure if you know, the law of reciprocity is pretty powerful. And what that states is that people, when they are gifted something, they like to give back. And it's part of human nature. And what we want to do is utilize that, be aware of the nature of things, and not really take advantage of it, because what we're doing is we're giving away. So it's hard to really see it as taking advantage when you're giving first. So you're putting your best foot forward, and you're reaching out to people, you know who they are, you know what they're interested in, and you're sending them exactly what they want, hopefully. And if you can build that relationship, you followed them, you liked some of their posts, you checked out their stuff on different platforms, then there's going to be a high likelihood that they're going to respond, possibly listen to your beat. And let's say maybe the first one, they like it and they're like, hey, I just want to purchase it. You'd be surprised. There's a fair percentage of artists out there that just like, they want to put the best foot forward. They want to be the giver. They're used to being the man or the person who is giving. They like to be that person in the relationship. So they're just going to want to buy your beat right away. But let's say other people, they don't buy your beat right away. Maybe you get a placement and maybe you start collecting some royalties. Maybe they don't buy the first beat and maybe they expect you're going to keep giving them beats. Now we have an option to open up a conversation, right? You give them a few beats and you can say, hey, you know, I gave you a few beats completely free. I really haven't made any money. I haven't sold any beats. It would mean a lot to me if you could lease this beat, or if you want to purchase it exclusively, I'll give you a really special deal. And that's another cool thing about being an up-and-coming producer, is that you have the option and the ability to sell exclusive rights more affordably than somebody who's all the way at the top. So it actually makes a lot more sense. And the artists that you're reaching out to, they're gonna hopefully respond to it well, being that you're probably not gonna charge them over $1,000 for an exclusive. It'll probably be, I don't know, 500, maybe a little bit less, depending on where you are. Maybe you could charge them 1,000 or 2,000, depending on how good you are and where they are as well. But you just want to find something that makes sense. Always look from the other person's perspective and try to come off as somebody who's just super cool, and try to be the coolest, most helpful, giving person that you can be. And then once you find that process, you want to look at, okay, well, how can we scale this? How can we start doing this with more people? Because a lot of producers, you know, they'll try it on 3 people. Oh, you know, they didn't respond, so it doesn't work. But the truth is, you really got to do this in numbers. You got to put the work in. So yeah, it might take a few minutes per artist, per conversation. You like a few things. You go to the channel, listen for a few seconds to this beat. Oh, I like the way it sounds. Oh, I like the way your voice sounds. Give them a unique compliment. Start a unique conversation. But realistically, if you have the process dialed in, you find the producers, you find the artists, you have some messages planned out that are somewhat authentic, but they can be customized to be very personal, and then to scale it up. So how do we scale it up? One, you could work faster, you could work harder, you can do these different things to really step it up. Or you can find people in your life. Maybe you have a little cousin that doesn't do something that, wants, be like, hey, I want to help you make some money. If you want to help me grow this business, all you got to do is message these people. And if you get a sale, then I'm going to give you this much percentage. Boom, you got somebody working for you completely free. So I guarantee that there is somebody in your life that would be willing to help you out with some kind of process. Maybe even your parents. Like, I know my mother, for example, she just lives at home. She doesn't really do much during the day, right? She stays at home. So sometimes she'll ask me like, oh, is there anything I can do? And I haven't personally utilized that option because I grew to where I needed to grow before that happened. But if I was still at the beginning stages, I'd be like, hey, I would reach out to different people and ask them for assistance on the strategy. Now, you can act faster, you can find people and recruit people and give them a small percentage of whatever you make, or you can actually hire people. So depending on where you are, right? So a lot of people, United States, for example, let's say they make $20 an hour. That's not much in the United States. So you're making $20 an hour and you're working, I don't know, let's say you're working 6 hours a day. If you could find an opportunity to work, 8 hours a day or 10 hours a day, then you're gonna make, let's say each day you're working 4 extra hours, so you're making $80 more per day. It's taking you 4 hours. Now, with that $80, you can go to sites like Upwork.com and you could find people in different countries where you can pay them like $3 an hour, which is a lot for them. Like in the Philippines, India, or whatever, a lot of people would dream to make that much money, and they're literally searching every single day. There's thousands of them that are searching on Upwork.com for people to hire them. Ideally, not just like, hey, I want you to do this project for an hour, but like, hey, I want to pay you consistently. So let's say per day you're making an extra $80 and they're making $3 an hour. You can have a whole team of people working 10 hours a day. So you work an extra 4 hours, and while you're working, or maybe when you get off, you make a plan of, hey, we're gonna message these people, here's what you say, here's what we do, here's our process, and then you start hiring maybe 1 or 2 other people to work for, 5 hours a day. Let's say they work for 5 hours a day at $3 an hour. That's $15 a day. You could hire 5 people to work 5 hours a day. Imagine if you had a team of 5 people working, each one of them working 5 hours a day. That's 25 hours a day. That means that you'll have, just by working an extra 4 hours per day, you have a team of 5 people that are working literally around the clock. You can have somebody literally responding to emails 24 hours a day. And people will be like, they just overlook it. They're just like, oh, that doesn't make sense. That's how I started growing, and for me, I didn't really know about that. I didn't have Ryini over here telling me what to do. I had to figure this stuff out step by step. And I got to that point where I actually did the work. So I would actually work hard. I would send people these messages. I would do these strategies myself at first. But once I got to the point, right now, I currently have a team that works around the clock. So you could send me an email at 4 a.m., you could send me an email at 1 a.m., you could send me an email any time in the day in any time zone, and there's somebody that is either working and they're gonna get back to you very quickly. And sometimes on the weekend I give them a little bit of leeway, but I highly recommend that if you can find ways, and that's if you're only making $20 an hour. Let's say you make a little bit more. So there's a way to scale that down. Maybe you just work 1 extra hour per day, or maybe you don't work any extra hours. You just, instead of spending your money on, drugs or alcohol or bad food or jewelry or some other stuff that's going to diminish in value, that's going to, it's not really going to impact you long term. We want to start to think about investments. Okay, where can we spend this money to actually become an investment? And this is one of those options that you have, is to build a team and to build a strategy, have people implementing stuff. And if they're not getting the result you want, or if they're not working right, then you find other people. But it's just another option that most people don't know about. So I find it important to share. Now, with that strategy, so we have Instagram, we have going on Fiverr and Upwork and becoming an employee for somebody else. We have the option of actually hiring other people because we can make a fair amount of money. So we're going to hire other people to work for us and we implement the strategy. So whatever I teach you, you can have other people implementing it. Yo, watch this video from Ryini. I want you to implement this. Some people can do that. Generally it's good to give people more specific direction, but you'd be surprised. Stuff like that could actually work. Now, once you're doing that and you're gonna make a sale at some point or another, right? As long as your beats are good. So that's another part of the equation is, okay, well, how do you get good at making beats? And how do you know if you're good at making beats? And a big part of that is to accept that if people think you're good at making beats, you talk to people, your friends say you're good at making beats, they can rap over, that doesn't mean much. That's a small sample size. That's a small group of people. And this is the whole benefit of making specific types of beats and posting them on the internet, because you get to see how the people who like that kind of beat that you're trying to make, you get to see how they feel about it. And at first, only a few people may see it, and you might have to get lucky at first because one of those few people is going to have to really like it, record a song on it, and to really continue coming back to that video, and then it'll be pushed out. But what ends up happening most of the time on YouTube, for example, you're just starting out, you post this beat, it's pretty good, but only a few people hear it, and maybe the few people that hear it, they're just the wrong people and they just click off, they're distracted or whatever, and then you kind of fall off in the algorithm. So you got to keep posting, keep being consistent, and get better and better, and use these different methods to actually promote your YouTube video. So as you're reaching out to artists on Instagram, as you're building these relationships, you're posting stories, you're posting content, you're promoting these beats. So not only do you have that conversation, there's that other extra way that they could come back to your profile, right? Because you're going to message them, they're going to click on your profile, they're going to see what you're working on, they're going to go to your stories, they're going to see what you're about. And if they are being offered great beats by you, and they go to your profile and they like what you're doing, they like what you're about, maybe you have a story talking about who you are, maybe you're actually putting yourself in front of the camera, which I highly recommend in 2023, right? Because in the past, you can just start blowing up on YouTube, just keep posting, and I still don't know why people get away with that, right? There's these brands, and there are only a few of them because it's working less and less. Again, in the past, you used to be able to get away with this, but nowadays, people want to see real people. And you could scam, you could get fake views, you could start getting some numbers, but at some point, people are not going to think about you. They're going to forget about your beats, they're going to forget about you because they don't know you. All they know is that it's just some person posting. And then there's a lot of skepticism behind it. And that's another problem, and it's something that you want to address with the artists that you work with. You want to set it up to where people feel like they can trust you. And how do you think that people are going to trust you? They're going to have to see you, and they're going to have to know where you're at. And there are many other things that you could do to build trust. But if they know you're a real person, they know, oh, you're tagging that you're in LA. Okay, yeah, if this dude does some shady business, I can roll up. I know where he stays. I know how he looks, right? So just by putting yourself out there, showing who you are, I know a lot of people think, oh, nobody's going to want to work with me. But nobody's going to trust you. If you're just this profile, there's no person behind it. How do they know that you're not stealing the beats? How do they know that you're not just sampling a bunch of stuff and they're going to get copyright claims and all this stuff? And once they get copyright claims, they're going to reach out to you. But, right, there's nothing there for them to really build that foundation on. So there are many different ways to make a full-time living selling beats. There are many different options. From if you're just getting started, right, you can find ways to become an employee. You can start growing online, reaching out to people on social media after you find the right kind of beats that you're good at. But that only happens when you test it out and you post the beats and you find out what people think that you're good at. It doesn't matter what you think you're good at. I thought I was good at Eminem type beats and all this other stuff, but I wasn't getting the results that I wanted with those kind of beats. It wasn't until I started doing Linkin Park rock type beats and I went over to acoustic, then I tried some metal stuff, then I got to R&B and all these other genres, but I worked my way through and I found out that people thought I was better at other stuff and they were blowing up, they were getting results. So when they get results, then I get results. And that's one of the final secrets I'll leave you with. If the artist that you produce for, if they find your beats and they get results and they credit you, if you get credit, people are gonna start searching. Oh, they're gonna search for your name. You're gonna start taking off on YouTube. All of a sudden, you're gonna start blowing up. And that comes from getting the artist that you work with results. And that comes from dedication, that comes from making good beats, and it comes from finding out what people think that you're good at. And once all that happens, once you can take action on what I have mentioned here today, then you're gonna get the results. So if you found this video valuable, make sure you shoot me a like, subscribe to the channel, and if you wanna join me on a free hour-long training where we go more in depth on how to get a lot of views and how to actually start selling more beats. We're gonna go in depth. I'm gonna show you behind my YouTube channel and show you how we can work together one-on-one as well. Then click below and join me in the free training, and I'm hoping that we can work together and really blow you up as a music producer online and keep working. So thanks for watching, and we'll talk soon.